Hi, my name's Derek, and in this Avoka video executive summary, we'll be looking at paperless initiatives, ways in which you can remove paper from business processes to deliver benefits to the environment and the efficiency of your organization. We'll start with a quick introduction and then show you what's possible when you use the technologies and experience of Adobe and Avoka to make paperless initiatives a reality. We're a clever bunch, us humans. When it comes to transport, over the last couple of thousand years, we've made enormous progress in how we move ourselves about. And when it comes to things like entertainment, we can now carry an entire music or movie collection in our pockets to enjoy wherever and whenever we choose. But when it comes to collecting or distributing information, we still have an over-reliance on paper. The majority of forms for collecting information are paper. The majority of bills and statements are delivered as paper. The majority of letters and welcome packs are still paper. Through things like scanning and character recognition, we've made great progress in how we process paper, but we haven't really stopped our paper consumption. There are a number of factors associated with paper that would encourage organizations to sponsor paperless initiatives. Firstly, the obvious environmental benefits. A ream of paper can consume as much as 6% of a tree, 166 litres of water in manufacturing, and produce 5.4 kilos of CO2 into the atmosphere. But paper is also organisationally inefficient and laden with risk. For every dollar spent printing paper, between $30 and $60 is spent processing paper. And almost 40% of all paper forms are received with missing information or contain errors. Plus, 25% of all documents in an organization are misplaced, resulting in time spent searching for them and reprinting them, not to mention the risk associated with the lost information contained in those documents. Now, we're not ready to get rid of paper completely. Some laws still require ink or wet signatures. Some customers still insist on paper bills or statements, and new credit cards are sent through the mail and are usually attached to a piece of paper with a welcome letter. So our processes still need to cater for paper, but in a multi-channel operating environment, there are opportunities to improve. Organizations have existing business systems that are focused on moving, storing, and manipulating information in an electronic format. This includes ERP systems, CRM systems, document and process management systems. But when those systems are exposed to customers, suppliers, and even mobile employees, more often than not, the organization reverts to paper. But by deploying a multi-channel service solution, such as a solution based on Adobe Lifecycle and Avoka Form Center, the organization can move more transactions away from costly, error-prone paper to electronic. In this environment, the business's IT team, business specialists, administration, and help desk staff can all be empowered to handle inquiries and submissions, whether received online, in person, by phone, or on paper. And in fact, the business users can be empowered to create online transactions in a controlled environment. One deployment option for such a solution is Avoka Form Factory for Adobe Lifecycle ES. With an Avoka Form Factory solution, a typical customer experience when transacting with an organization will look like this. The customer accesses the self-service portal to find the appropriate form to complete for the required product or service. The Form Factory solution retrieves known information about the customer from one or more databases. The data is sent to Form Factory and used to pre-populate the form, ensuring the data input burden on the customer is minimized. The pre-populated form is displayed as an interactive smart form for the customer to complete the required additional information. The form contains validations to ensure all entries are complete and correct. The customer submits the completed form and is directed, if required, to options to upload supporting documentation as attachments or make a payment by credit card or other supported payment method. Once the form and attachments and payments are complete, the customer receives a submission receipt, including a read-only copy of their completed form and data. The form plus attachments are used to initiate a business process for review and approval by business users. The business users can leverage tools such as web conferencing and collaboration technologies like Adobe Connect and Acrobat to provide real-time electronic interactions with customers as required. The business users and core business systems can provide status updates on the progress of the request. These updates can be sent by email or SMS directly to the customer or viewed through the online self-service portal. So let's have a look at an Avoka Form Center solution in action. Let's take a look at an example of an electronic form experience delivered by Adobe Lifecycle and Avoka Form Center. We'll log into the GovAssist portal. In the portal landing page, we see we have four options. We can find forms, we can look at our submissions, we can see that we've got one to-do item, and we can manage our account details. When we click on Find Forms, we're presented with a list of available forms. In this case, we're going to enroll in a cancer screening test. The form opens up in a separate window. As a logged in user, information that's already known about me has been pre-populated into the form. Similar to our first example, this is an interactive PDF electronic form, allowing me to take it offline should I choose to. Let's jump forward and hit the Submit button. For the purposes of the demonstration, all validations inside the form have been turned off. Within Form Center, we have defined that this form has some mandatory supporting information and some optional supporting documents. We have the option of uploading this information if we have it electronically, or delivering it manually if we only have a paper copy and no access to a scanner. Let's upload a PDF copy of the required information. When I click to attach a file, I can browse through the standard user interface. I can select my health report and attach it. Once the required attachment has been added, the Attachments Completed button is enabled, allowing us to proceed. This form also has a payment defined in Form Center, so we're automatically directed to a payments page to enter credit card details to complete our submission. Let's quickly enter some information and make a payment. Upon successful confirmation of our payment, we're provided with a confirmation page for our form submission with a reference number and links to save our submission receipt, have it automatically emailed to us, or return to the Form Center portal to see the form submission and associated receipt there. Let's proceed back to Form Center. In our My Submissions page, we can see the latest form submission is at the top of the list. And by clicking on the icons to the right, we can get additional information about the form submission, such as the receipt number and the payment. And through this PDF icon, we can view a read-only PDF receipt of the submission that we've just made. As you can see, Adobe and Avoka offer a full set of capabilities for electronic forms, including online forms, offline but interactive PDF forms, validation inside forms, pre-population, submission management, payment processing, uploading supporting documentation, and submission receipting. If you want to improve your data collection options beyond traditional paper forms, please make sure to contact us through avoka.com. Thank you. In this example, as an employee of GovAssist, I'm logging in as a caseworker. Once I've logged into my workspace, I can see that I have 23 items in my to-do list. From this dashboard, I can also start a new process myself, such as a leave request, or track any tasks that I've been involved with previously, all without having to revert back to any paper transactions. Let's click on our to-do list and work through these 23 items. The items in my to-do list could have been submitted from the website, through the call center, or even as paper transactions that have been digitized and added to my to-do list. The information presented to me on each of these icons for the task is configurable and can be extremely useful. So if I have an urgent inquiry about a specific individual's request, say Laura King, I can quickly see from these icons that Laura's request is here and it's sitting in my inbox. There are more powerful search tools also that I can leverage to get more detailed information or perform searches across a larger group of tasks. But let's start with the first request in the queue for John Jacobs. When I select John's task, I'm presented with a summary view of the task, what it relates to, when it was created, last updated, and so on. We can also click on the form to see the details of what was submitted. I can see that the request that's been submitted through to me is a PDF, but it's an interactive PDF document, one that could have been completed online through an environment such as Form Center. Let's assume that I've done my work associated with this task and want to digitally sign the form and submit it to the next step in the workflow process. We scroll to the bottom of the form and I simply click on the digital signature field. I'm presented with my digital signature and I can click sign. The digital signature is immediately applied to the document. This sample signature doesn't require any authentication, but in a real-world environment there would typically be a password associated with applying the digital signature to the document. Before we submit this task to the next stage in the workflow, I'd like to add a note for the next person. So I'll click on the task details, select to add a new note. It's a note, enter some text, and click OK. And I can see that my note has now been added to this task, and this will continue to move with the transaction as it progresses through the workflow. I'll return to the form, hit complete, and I can now see that my task list has been reduced to 22. And I can move on to the next request from Tony Corbis. Continuing with the theme of process automation and paperless, let's see what's happened now that Roy Woodard from GovAssist has approved the John Jacobs request. John receives an email, which is a well-formatted message, which contains 2 attachments. We have a set of tips for success in an interview, which we can click on, and see that we have a PDF document. The other document is a set of recommended jobs. When I open the recommended jobs file, I find that it's been password protected, as it contains some sensitive information. Upon entering my user ID and password, which is authenticated back to a central server and not stored in the document itself, I'm granted access to the contents of the file. The contents of the recommended jobs document is a PDF letter, copy of my benefits application, which has been digitally signed, and a list of recommended jobs. As you can see, the paperless process automation not only delivers value inside the organization by automating the routing of requests such as forms and allowing for electronic processing of tasks, but also extends value outside the organization by automating and securing communications with customers. This combination of technology and people can deliver powerfully effective and efficient business processes.